पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. It is by the infinite grace of Lord Krishna we are studying the great gospel of the Bhagavadgita. We are studying some of the verses in which Krishna emphasizes upon the indestructibility of the Atman. Atman is eternal, but the deha, the bodies are non-eternal. In the shloka number 18, we have already read it. Antavanta ime dehaha nityasyuktaha sharirinaha anashinaha aprameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. These shariras, the bodies are perishable, but in those shariras or the bodies there is some imperishable entity that is called Atman. Antavanta ime dehaha. Dehaha means the bodies which have an end. They are prone to destruction. The destruction of the body is what we call the death in the normal parlance. Antavanta ime dehaha. But one who is living in the body is called the shariri. So sharira belongs to shariri. This is the idea. Shariri is one who is having the sharira. Sharirinaha shariraha. So shariri who is inside the sharira, he is said to be the eternal. Why he is eternal? Anashinaha. So anashi word comes again after some one or two shlokas. It doesn't have any nasha. Nasha means the destruction or the death. Sharira has got the death, but the shariri doesn't have any death. Aprameya, it cannot be comprehensible through any means. So the body is comprehensible, body can be known through the perception, pratyaksha, etc. But the Atman cannot be known. Atman cannot be even thought of. It cannot be measured. It cannot be understood by any means. That is what is meant by aprameyam. Therefore, you need not worry for the Bhishma, Drona, etc., who are just bodies. Body is prone to death, but the real Bhishma is Atman. Real Drona is Atman. So you are not going to kill them. You cannot kill them also. Therefore, you have to fight. That the idea is, though Krishna is teaching the Atma Vichara here, he is asking Arjuna to fight the war. This is a very interesting thing. We may think some of a contradiction here, but Acharya Shankaracharya says there is no contradiction. Atma remains the same. Nobody is killing the Atma. But as long as we understand this Atma, as long as we know Atma or we become Atma Jnanis ourselves, we have to do our duty. The duty is called in Gita Swadharma. Swadharma is very much emphasized, the central core of the teaching of the Gita for those who are not yet realize the Atman. But those who have already realized the Atman, for them tasya karyam na vidyate. For them there is no work, because the activity goes against the idea of Atman. Atman is not inactive, Atman is not active, Atman is full of consciousness, Atman is everywhere. There are no qualities in Atman where Atman can be active. Only body, mind can be active. If I am identified with the Atman, there is no reason why I should be active. There is no cause for the action. The desire is the cause of the action, they say. I have no desire. I have nothing to get from the action. I don't think I myself is the doer of the action. That is why such a person does not have any action. That comes later. So here we have to distinguish between those who do not know the Atman. Knowing means just not the academic knowledge, realizing that I am the Atman, having that experience, Atmic experience, that is called moksha. While living itself, we can have that experience. That is the concept of the Jivan Mukti. That is the real emancipation, that is real freedom. We need not aspire for liberated after our death. We have to aspire for liberation even while living here. That is the concept of the Advaita Vedanta. So we want to liberate here. Ihaiva tirjita sargaha, esham sammi sitam manaha, the Gita said. Here itself we have to achieve that samya avastha, same-sightedness. We see Atman everywhere. We see Atman inside, we see Atman outside, we see Atman in all the beings. We don't see anything other than the Atman. That is the state of realization. For such people, there is no work, there is no external factors or the internal factors that make them work. For those who are still to attain that stage, they have to work. So what work they have to do? They have to do swadharma. Swadharma according to their capabilities, their talent and their training. Arjuna is trained here to wage the war. He is a soldier. He belonged to the Kshatriya clan. So Krishna says, your grief, your sorrow has got a reason. That reason being, these are all bodies and I am going to kill them. You are not going to kill anyone. Atman is imperishable. You are neither the killer and you are not going to be killed also. Therefore, you have to fight the war. As I told you in the last class, the war is only lakshanartha. Lakshanartha means an indicating. It doesn't mean everybody has to fight. Fighting here means our swadharma. Whatever work we are doing, we should have that background. We should do all work in the light of Atma Vichara. This is a wonderful combination of the Jnana Yoga and the Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga should be the guiding light, and we have to work until we realize that Jnana Yoga. That is the lighting factor, the light, the guidelines or the guiding light for our life should be this Atma Vichara, but we should continue to work until we realize this. This is the message of the Lord Krishna to the whole humanity. In the 19th sloka, we have already seen it. Yayenam vetti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tauna vijanetaha nayam hantina hanyate. And this has particular reference to the war. Here the war, people kill or people get killed. Both happens. If you think you are going to kill someone, that is a wrong notion. If you think you are going to be killed by someone, that is also a wrong understanding. Enam means here Atma. Vetti, who knows, Hantaram. If you consider the Atman to be Hantara or the killer, or if you think Enam, Hatam, if you think the Atman is something to be killed or being killed, Ubhautaunam, both of them. One who thinks Atman is going to be the killer and one who thinks the Atman is going to be killed, both na vijanitaha, both are ignorant. Because, as Krishna says in the last part of the sloka, nayam hanti na hanyate. Nobody can kill the Atman, and Atman can never be the killer. The idea is, Atman cannot be the object of any action, and Atman cannot be the doer of any action. You take an example, normal example, I eat food. That means I am the doer of a work called the eating. And Atman cannot do that. Only with the body and mind complex, I have that idea that I am eating the food. And somebody is hurting me. I become the object of the process called a hurt. I cannot be the object, only the body, mind can be the object of that process called hurting. So I cannot be the object also, I cannot be the subject also. In any kriya or the action, there are two things. One is the doer and on the target of the action. Suppose I am eating food, food is the target, food is the object of the action called the eating. So Atman cannot be the object, Atman cannot be killed, Atman cannot be the object of the process called the killing, and Atman cannot also the doer of the action. So Atman doesn't have the doership as well as the quality of being an object. This is the idea. So, ubhautavna vijanitaha, both of them do not know, because ayam means the Atma doesn't kill nor it gets killed. So far we have studied in the previous classes. Now it is time to enter into the shloka number 20th, and it is a somewhat difficult shloka. All other shlokas are very easy. Here we come across a little bit difficult shloka. We shall try our best to understand this. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Let us split the words now. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् न अयं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजः नित्यः शाश्वतः अयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Let us take up. So there are 5-6 modifications in any object. In the empirical world, nothing is eternal, nothing is permanent. Every entity, everything undergoes the 6 stages. I explained this in the earlier classes. It is time to recollect that idea. So everything takes birth. That is one of the modification. That is called the jayate. Something is born. So take the example of a pot. The pot is born. So pot has got a cause. Karana it is called. Then nothing will be born without a cause. So there is a mud. We have mud, and the mud is the cause, and the pot is the effect. So pot is born now. And the next modification or the next state of existence is asti. It continues to exist. For some years the pot exists. That is the state of being, asti. And pot also undergoes some changes. So it is better understood in terms of body. We are born. So when we say we are born, it is the body that is born. Body, jayate, body is born. And body is there. Body continues to exist until our death. But body doesn't remain the same. But body grows. So jayate asti vardhate. It continues to grow. So until 40, 42 years, or it will continue to grow. And the height will grow. We may put up some weight. We may become fat also. The youngsters, we know, within few years, they grow up into adults. We have seen that. This is what is called the growth. Jayate asti vardhate. But in the meantime, there will be a lot of modifications. A lean man can become fat, a fat man become lean, a healthy man becomes very much emaciated, and he may get so many diseases, he may weaken, a good man become a bad man. So we have a lot of modifications in the body. So body and mind, of course, that is what is called viparinamate. From the jayate, birth, to existence, the asti, and then we have growth and lot of modifications take place, viparinamate. And after 50 or 60, the body becomes as if decays. So it loses its strength, it loses its vigor. Some of the parts we may lose. The eyesight becomes weak and hearing also becomes weak. We are not able to walk. The limbs will lose that power of walking and running, and all these things takes place. That means it shows the body is decaying. So we have jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, getting decayed, losing the strength and losing some of the power of the body. And next, the last one is, of course, vinashyati. There will be destruction of the body. That is called the death. So here, the Shotra says, these modifications do not occur in the case of the Atman. Na jayate. And Shankaracharya says here, na utpadyate. So there is no modification such like the birth. Birth also we have to understand what is meant by birth. There is no absolute birth at all. The birth means a one thing taking the form of the another, that is called the birth. So we have come out from the womb of our mother, and there is nothing else called creation or the birth. It is just modification of a particular combination of certain things into some form. That is how we are all born. So we have here janana kriya. So janana kriya is not there for the Atman, because Atman is always there. Atman is an entity which is beyond the idea of the time and space. Atman cannot be confined to time. Atman cannot be confined to the space also. All these ideas of the time and space you don't find in the Atman. That's why it can be easily understood. So when we experience the sushupti, there is no idea of time. There is no idea of space also. Where we are, how long we will be in sushupti, nobody can say. Today I slept in sushupti for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, nobody could say. Because there is no idea of time there. There is no idea of space. It is beyond an idea of the time and space. So tatha na jayate va mriyate. Va here is to be taken as cha, and. So there is no birth and there is also no death. What is death? As I have already told you, it is the last modification. The birth is the first modification. I have explained all the 6 modifications. Jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate and vinashyati. And the death is the last modification. That is the destruction. Destruction happens only to the body. So there is no death for the Atman. So 2 things. No birth and no death. That's why you can easily understand there are no other modification that comes within the pale of, within the death and birth. So after birth we have that what is called existence, and we have the growth, we have that modification, and also we have the decay, and these are all not there at all. That's why there is a theory in traditional circle, if we pinpoint something that is in the beginning and the end, then of course the middle will follow. So we have rejected the modification called the birth, we have rejected the modification called the death or the destruction. So all other modifications are automatically, simultaneously ridiculed or the rejected in the Atman. So this is the meaning of the first part of the verse. Najayate mriyate va. Actually, the word va in Sanskrit means or, O-R. But here we have to take in the sense of cha and. Najayate mriyate cha. There is no birth and as well as there is no death. Why? The reason is given in the next part of the verse. This part of the verse is little bit tricky. We have to be very careful. We have to read this part like this. Ayam na bhutva bhuyaha na bhavita. Ayam na ayam bhutva na ayam bhutva bhuyaha va na bhavita. So, this is the nature of everything in this world. Something is born and then afterwards, that means you bhuyaha, once again it will disappear. Something comes into existence, afterwards it will disappear. So we have the mud here coming from the mud, we have the pot here coming from the mud, and after some time it disappears. Here bhutva means taking birth or appearing. The appearance of the body called the birth. Appearance. After some one or two shlokas, we have another shloka to explain. Avyaktadini bhutani. They are unmanifested. Unmanifested means things are there, but we don't see them. That is what is called abhutva, that is unmanifested. So a thing called the body appears. That is what is called the bhutva. And bhuyaha, once again it disappears. After some 70 years or 80 years, we disappear. We don't disappear, but the body disappears. So Atman doesn't have that quality of coming into existence and then disappearing. This is the meaning of this sutra. Bhutva bhuyaha na bhavita. This is the word. Bhutva means existence, coming to existence, or in the case of the body, it is called the birth. And bhut once again. So what appears and also should disappear. What takes birth should have the death also. Punaha, once again. Bhavi na bhavita, it will cease to exist. This is the nature of things in the world, including the body. Everything which has got a beginning, it will have an end. This is the nature of everything in the world. So we have to add na. This is not the character of the Atman. Just like the body or any other thing in this world, Atman doesn't come into existence and again doesn't cease to exist. That means doesn't come into existence, again doesn't cease to existence means what? It will remain same always. It is always there. There is no point of time when Atman was not there. There is no point of time when Atman will not be there. Atman will be there forever. This is the idea. So, in this phrase, the death is rejected. That means coming to existence and disappearing and going to be extinct. That is what is called. Here once again the va word is used. Here the va word is R. What is birth, death or birth? So Atman doesn't have death as well as the birth. This is the idea. So how to construe it? Once again we can construe. Here it is said coming into existence and later disappearing. R means coming into getting destroyed and again coming into existence. Getting destroyed or disappearing means the death, and once again coming to existence means the birth. Coming into existence and disappearing, that is the nature of the birth. Atman doesn't have that. Here what is said is coming into existence and disappearing. Va means it is also true that coming into going to destroy or disappearing and again coming into existence. So there is no birth for the Atman. In this way, we have to understand the shloka. The term va is important. Here, this actual meaning of this 2-3 sentence words means birth. There is no birth. Coming to existence, and there is no death actually. There is the coming into existence and again disappearing. That is what is birth. That is what is death. But actually, it also denotes death. Coming into destroying and again coming into existence. That is also there, not there for the Atman. Because if this is so, because it is so, Atma is ajaha. Atma has no birth. Ja means getting birth. So we have the words like pankaja, padma, etc. Panka means the water or the shallow water. We have the muddy water, that is called the panka, pankaja, which is born in the panka, that is lotus. So it is not born at all. Ajaha means there is no birth, and also nityaha. So one causes another. Since it has no birth, it is eternal, nityaha. Yasman mriyate tasmat na anityascha. Because it doesn't die, it is not eternal, it is always eternal. Ajaha is the cause of the nitya. So, when it is nitya, then that means adi, antya, both are negated here. No beginning and no restriction. And all the modification in between, the birth and the death, which I have explained just now, have been completely rejected. Next we have Shashvataha. Shashvata means apakshaya lakshana vikriya pratishidyate. The process of decaying, it is a kind of modification. When we become bold, we think we are decaying. I am losing my sight, I am losing my strength, I am decaying, I am going to die. That is what is called decay. So there is no such decaying in the Atman. Atman itself doesn't decay at all, and there are no qualities which are attached to the Atman so that the qualities may decay. If qualities comes, it is called growth. If qualities go away, that is called the decay. There is no qualities which are in Atman that we lose the qualities and Atman becomes decay. There is no such thing as decay at all. This is the meaning of the Shashvataha. So there is no decaying. Decaying process is denied by the word Shashvataha. And Puranaha. Purana means Pura api navayeva. Even though it is ancient, it remains fresh, it remains the same, it remains the new. That means there is no vruddhi at all, there is no growth at all, nothing is added to Atman. So what is vruddhi? Something is added. So that is what is called growth. Body is grown, the mind is grown. So it is the addition, process of addition. So nothing is added to Atman, it always remains the same, it always remains fresh, it always remains new. So in Shashvata, the process of decaying is denied. In the Purana, the process of the Vruddhi or the growth is denied. So there is no growth, there is no decay. This is that. Why? Because Atman doesn't have any components in us. If we are adding the components to a thing, you have the growth. If we are removing the components from the thing, that is called the decay. So Atman is not composed of any components at all. Just like this guy, it is niravayava, doesn't have any parts. Therefore, here the shloka is concluded, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So what is going to be destroyed is the sharira, because sharira is made up of the parts, the components. What is destruction for the sharira? Reducing components are reduced to their original states. They are now grouped together to form a body. When they go back to their original state, that is what is called destruction. There is no absolute destruction at all. Sharira, these components grouped together, that group is called Sharira or the body. The idea of Sharira is destroyed. The components are not destroyed. So when all the group goes back to its original state of components, that is what is called the death. So Hanyamana, which is prone to the destruction, which is prone to the death, is Sharira, not the body. Na hanyate, Atman never gets destroyed, because Atman doesn't have any part, Atman doesn't grow, Atman neither get destroyed. So when you say birth is denied and the death also is denied, the beginning is denied and the end also is denied, and all the modification in between, I have told you, Jayate, Asti, Vardhate, Viparinamate, all the 6 modifications are rejected in the Atma. So what is the conclusion here? Shankaracharya puts it, Sarva Prakara Vikraya Rahitaha Atma. Atman is devoid of all kinds of modification. So we live in the life which is full of modification, full of changes, full of turns, full of anxiety, because every moment something happens. We think, we get worried and we are anxious what will happen tomorrow, because changefulness is, we think, is the one of the signs of the life. Life means always changing, but real life constitutes in pure consciousness, and the consciousness doesn't change. Atma is the real life. As Swami Vivekananda has beautifully put it in his Jnana Yoga, there is 2 kinds of man. One is real man, another is apparent man. Real man is Atman, which is changeless, pure consciousness, doesn't have death, doesn't have birth, always remains the same, full of consciousness, full of bliss. And another man always worried about the changes, undergoing changes. So if we believe in the second type of man, that is apparent man, full of changes, the body changes, the mind changes, but therefore we are prone to lot of miseries, because we think we are changing. Every moment we are worried, something happens, we what we call react to that situation and get worried, grief, anxiety, anger. So these are all continuously happening because we think we are changeable entity. We are not changeable entity. We have no death and birth. In essence, we are all Atman. So we are established in that, there will be no worry, no cause for the worry, no cause for the anxiety, no cause for any tension at all. And this is the idea conveyed in this verse. Next we have the another shloka of the same nature. Veda avinashinam nityam ya enam ajamavyayam katam sa purusha partha kam ghatayati hantikam. Avinashinam. So all these ideas are repeated here because this Atman is very difficult to understand. We hear so many times, we read so many times the Atman, but about Atman, but nothing goes inside the mind because it is incomprehensible. It is to a subtle knowledge. That is why Krishna says again and again these ideas to impress upon the listeners the significance of understanding the immutability, indestructibility, eternality of the Atman. Avinashinam nityam, avinashinam, once again, there is no antya to the Atman. Vinasha means the last state. The birth is the first state, and existence is the second state, and also the growth is the third state, and decaying is the fourth state. In between some modifications take place, the fifth state, and the destruction is the last state, the sixth state. So Atman doesn't have the vinasha. Since it doesn't have the Vinasha, that which does not have the Vinasha or the end, that is always remains the same, is always there, eternal. Ve avinashanam nityam. Why it is eternal? Because avyaya. Because it doesn't decay at all. Apaksharahitam. In the previous sutra, shloka we have learnt. There is no decay at all. Because there are no parts in the body to get decayed. When the parts get separated, that we call it as decay. There is no decay because there are no parts at all. This is the meaning of the avyaya. Since it is avyaya, it is always, there is no decay for the Atman. Atman remains indestructible and eternal. One who knows this, Veda, Veda means a man, Vidwan Purushaha, one who knows him. Sa Purushaha Veda, Veda, Katham sa Purusha Partha Kam Ghatayati Hantikam. Who knows it? Who knows it means who knows the Atman of this such nature. Atman doesn't kill, Atman doesn't get killed, Atman remains the same, Atman has no modification, Atman doesn't have birth, Atman doesn't have death, etc. This is the knowledge. This is the knowledge of the Upanishad. One who understands this is called the Dhira. Dhira, one who has intelligence. And such a person, one who knows, that is the person, he doesn't have kam ghatayati hantikam. Katham sa purusha partha. How that purusha, how that man of intelligence can kill a person and cause the killing. There are two ideas. So such a person doesn't kill anyone. Though he is doing some work, there is no agencyship at all. Suppose Arjuna is a knowledgeable fellow, knowledgeable person, he is a wise person, even if he kills one, he is not killing anyone. Because he knows Atman cannot be killed. There is no such thing as killing at all. And even such a person is doing some work, he understands there is no such thing as work at all. Because in Atman there is no work at all. And also he doesn't cause the killing. So there is difference between ghatayati and hanti. Hanti means killing directly. Ghatayati means instigating someone to kill. Causing others to kill is called the ghatayati. That also is not possible for him. So he will not be the direct agent of the action. He will not instigate any action. Because action, as we have seen, is modification. Action means change. In Atman doesn't have any action because Atman doesn't undergo any change, and Atman there is no modification or change at all. So, how to understand this concept and to make it home for the ordinary people like us, Krishna gives a very interesting example. What is that? In the 22nd sutra we read, through sloka we read, Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grunhati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grunhati naraha aparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. So what we have read so far is Atmanaha avinashitvam. Atman is indestructible. Atman doesn't have any death and birth. Atman remains the same. And how it happens? How we can understand the indestructibility or eternity of the Atman? So example is given here. Yatha vasamsi jirnani vasamsi vihaya. Jirnani means worn out. Vasamsi means clothes. So we give up the worn out clothes, old clothes, and now naraha aparani navani grunhati. Naraha means a person will take up the new cloth. another cloth, that is new cloth. So we always give up the old cloth which are worn out, have become old, and we take up the new cloth. That is the example here. So once again we will try to understand this. Yatha jirnani vasamsti vihaya. Jirnani means decayed or the worn out, the vasamsi, the cloth, vihaya, giving up. Navani aparani naraha grunhati. Naraha, a person takes up the new cloth which are new in nature and they are different from the old cloth. Aparani. This is the example. In the same way, jirnani sharirani vihaya. What are the jirnani sharirani? Unfortunately, even the man who is 80-year-old doesn't think he is decayed. His body is decayed. His body is worn out. Oh, I had to eat that. I had to drink that. I had to go about that. I had to see that, he thinks. That is the unfortunate thing. People think they are always going to be there. They are not going to die. So, this is the most unfortunate thing, most strange thing in the world. Mahabharata, Yaksha asked Yudhishthira, what is the strangest thing in this world? He says, people are dying everywhere. People come to know about it. But everyone thinks, I am not going to die. I will remain forever here. I am continue to enjoy the things of the world. I will always remain happy and all these things. This is the most strangest thing that happens in the world. So we also have to die. So we have to prepare ourselves for the death. If we think this body is something constant, which is permanent, we cannot be there without body, then that is the cause of the grief or the sorrow or the misery. This body is like the cloth. Nobody worries about giving up the old cloth and taking up the new cloth. Do you worry? When the celebrations come, now next month we will have the Navaratri, we take up the new cloth. Nobody is worried. We throw away the old cloth. We are not in misery to give up the old cloth and taking up the new cloth, isn't it? But we are very much worried about our body. We do everything possible on earth to keep this body, even if it is worn out. After 95, 96, 100 also we want to continue to live as if this body is going to be there forever. Everyone knows this body is going to die, but still we hold on to the body, hold on to our possessions, hold on to our belongings, hold on to our dear ones and near ones. We have so much attachment to the body. So in one go, Krishna makes us to understand the non-permanency, impermanency, and also the very temporal nature of this body. So we have to give up the body. Tata sharirani vihaya. We have to give up the body. A person gives up the body. Most of them, 99.99%, do not want to give up the body. Yet they will give up the body. Jirnani sharirani vihaya. Worn out body, full of diseases, full of inside full of diseases and full of defects. Body is so defect, you are not able to what? You are not able to think, you are not able to sit up, you are not able to do anything. You cannot move the limbs also, you cannot move your hand also. Till we think we are body and we want to continue to be in the body. That is the greatest Maya. But anyway, God will give us death. That is the end of this all misery, at least in this birth, in this body. When we take up the new body, new miseries will start, new problems will start. It is just like we want to change the house. So many problems in the house. Neighbors are bad, the roof is leaking, and water is not coming properly. There is so much traffic, there is no sound. Let us change the house. Oh, we will change the house, and then we will see we have more problems than the previous house there. There are more problems, more misery. So as you go on changing the body, we accumulate the miseries. We will not relieved of our miseries. That is the problem. Still we want some body so that we can enjoy the pleasures. So here, jirnani sharirani vihaya, giving up the worn out bodies, just like we have given up the worn out or the old cloth. This is an old body, a stupid body, worn out, good for nothing, and we give up that body. That dehi means one who is in the body. So we have already learnt the word shariri. One who is in sharira is shariri. One who is in deha is the dehi. The dehi is indestructible, eternal, Atman. Deha is something to prone to destruction. Dehi navani sanyati. Navani anyani, different body. Different from what we are having now. Anyani. What is the nature of the new body? A fresh body. We died at the age of 95, very old people. After some time, we are born again as a child body, fresh body, new body, oh baby body. Navani Dehat. Sanyati means we get identified. So now so far we have identified with the old body. Now we are identifying ourselves with the new body. Unites with sangachati, sanyati means we get united. Now we are united with the old body, we give it up, we take up the new body, which is fresh body, baby body. And when you are born, people say how beautiful the baby is. Sometime back, the same baby was in the worn out, old body. The people used to reject that body. How the old man, stupid, what is this, nonsense, etc. So this is our state. So what Krishna is trying us to make us understand is what happens to the bodies and what happens to the Atman. Body is destroyed. We have taken up the new body. Then what about us? We remain the same. When I give up the worn out clothes, I am the same person. When I wear the new clothes, I am the same person. The person doesn't change at all. In the same way, when we have this old body and after death, when we give up that body and takes up the new body, we remain the same. And that's the conclusion we have to make out of it. We are very fond of the example. When we are in the class, we very much like examples and we very much fond of it, and stories also. And people remember the stories and the example, and what is the lesson, what is the real teaching, we just forget. That is the problem. Here we all enjoy the example of the worn out cloth, but the message Krishna is conveying here is, as Shankaracharya beautifully puts it, Purushavat avikriya eva. When a man changes his clothes, doesn't change. Only clothes are changing. In the same way, the bodies are changing. We are giving up the old body and taking up the new body. But the Purusha, one who is changing the bodies, doesn't change at all. The Atman, it doesn't change. Therefore, the conclusion is, Atman is avikriya. There are no changes in the Atman. So let us see whether Atman can be destroyed by other means also. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, nachainam kloidayantyapaha, nashoshayati marutaha. This is another way to make home the understanding that Atma cannot be destroyed. Atman always streams. Chindanti shastrani. The weapons do not cut the Atman, because Atman doesn't have any parts. What is meant by cutting? There are two parts in a combination. You cut it, the parts get changed, the parts get separated. That is what is meant by cutting. So can you cut the space? Can you cut the akasha? You just blow the sword like this. Are you able to cut the akasha or the space? You can't. Because Atman, akasha doesn't have any parts at all. So in the same way, Atma, Enam means here present. The Atman which is under consideration. We are studying about Atman. We are trying to understand the nature of Atman. And that is what is called here Enam. Chindanti na shastrani. No weapon can cut this Atman. No weapon can break the Atman. What is breaking? Separating. One part, another part. There is a combination. You cut it, you break it, you make into two. That is what is called breaking or the cutting. It is done through the sword, etc. In the modern times, you through the bullets or the guns, and you kill a person. You are killing the person means you are destroying the body. Body is cutting into pieces. But you cannot cut the Atman or destroy the Atman in the same way. This is the first thing. So, Nainam chindanti shastrani. Nainam dahati pavakaha. Once again. Na enam dahati pavakaha. So, Atman cannot be cut, but Atman can be burned, isn't it? No, Atman cannot be burnt. Atman cannot be burnt by any kind of fire. No fire can burn the Atman. That means Atman cannot be cut into pieces. Atman cannot be broken into pieces by any kind of sword. Atman cannot be burnt by any kind of fire. Even the greatest of forest fire cannot burn the Atman. Because there is no quality in Atman to getting burnt or getting broken up or cutting off. That is the idea. So what about water? Water wetting the Atman. Nacha yenam kledayanti apaha. Atman cannot be wetted. Atman cannot be moistened. So if you put water on the body, body gets moistened, isn't it? It will get wet. That is the nature of the body. If you put water on the table table gets moistened. It will get wet. Atman is not that. No water can moisten or wet the Atman. Because what is wetting? Wetting means this object is made up of the parts and each component get wet. That is the nature of a thing which gets wet. But Atman doesn't have any parts here. Atman is just like the sky or the open space. You can pour the water. The water is showering in the rainy season. You will see clouds are showering the water, but the space does not get wet at all. Have you seen the space getting wet in the rain? No, the sky doesn't get wet at all. In the same way, Atman does not get wet at all, because the Atman is not savayava. It is not made up of the parts. It has no parts to get wet. This is the idea. And the last idea is marutaha na shoshayati, drying up. So Shankaracharya explains what is called drying up. There is some oily substance. Oily means it is called sneha. Water is also some kind of oily. That means some kind flowing, some kind of wetting. This is called oily. That is what you call it get connected like this. Sneha it is called. It combines. That is called sneha. So that can be dried up through the maruta or the air. Air dries up the water. Air dries up the water. So there is no such thing in Atman which can be dried up. It has no qualities also. It has no quality of wetness or the oiliness. Therefore, air cannot dry up. So water cannot wet the Atman. Air cannot dry the Atman. Fire cannot burn the Atman. No weapon can cut the Atman or break the Atman. So by no means Atman can be destroyed. This is the idea. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, nachainam kledayanti na shoshayati marutaha. Since it is so, because it is so, achedyoyam, adashyoyam, akledyo shoshayevacha, nitya sarvagata sthanuhu, achaloyam sanatanaha. The first line is nothing but the repetition of the idea that we have already learned. Achedyoyam. It is just the repetition of Nainam chindanti shastrani. Unbreakable, uncleavable. It cannot be cut into parts. Therefore, adashyaha. It cannot be burnt. Already we have learnt. Nainam dahati pavakaha. No fire can burn. So it cannot be burned, unburnable. Akledyaha, it cannot be wetted also. Akledyaha means it cannot be moistened or the wet. Already we have learned in the previous sloka. Na kledayanti apaha, etc. And last idea also, ashoshyaha, it cannot be dried up. So it cannot be cut into pieces by sword, by the weapons like the sword. It cannot be burnt by the fire, and also it cannot be dry, it cannot be wet, or it cannot be moistened by the water, and it cannot be dried up by the air. These ideas are summarized in the very first line. Achedyaha ayam. Ayam means Atman always. Ayam Atman, this Atma it cannot be cut. Achedya. It cannot be burnt. It cannot be moistened, and it cannot be dried up. Why? The reason is given in the second part of the verse. Nityaha, because it is eternal. Something eternal cannot be destroyed. In something eternal you cannot make any changes. Space is something eternal compared to the other entities of this world. You cannot make any changes in this space. In the same way, Atman cannot be changed at all. So, anityaha, since it is eternal, it is everywhere. Sarvagataha. The literal meaning of sarvagata is it has gone everywhere. Gataha means gone. Something which is gone everywhere means what? Something which is everywhere. One man cannot go anywhere. Everywhere. A person goes to one place to another, A to B. He cannot go anywhere. He cannot go everywhere. He cannot be everywhere. The only Atman can be everywhere. That is the idea of Sarvagataha. So here, since Atman cannot be cut into pieces, Atman cannot be burned, Atman cannot be moistened, Atman cannot be dried out, Atman is eternal. Since Atman is eternal, it is everywhere. It is omnipresent. Since Atman is present everywhere, it doesn't have any movement. Something which is everywhere, where it will move? It is everywhere. What is movement? Changing the position. So from this position, I change to this position, that is what is called change. Movement. Going from one place to another. Moving from one position to another, that is called the movement. So Atman is everywhere, Atman is everywhere, Atman has become everywhere. There is no movement in the Atman, sthanuhu. It remains the same, motionless, absolutely no movement, like the mountain. That is why it is called the sthanuhu. Since doesn't have any movement, it is achalaha. Chala means movement. Achalaha means doesn't have any movement. So I will again explain the second line. Since it is eternal, it is everywhere. Since it is eternal, everywhere. Since it is everywhere, it is motionless like this thanu. Thanu means here parvata or the mountain. Since it is like the motionless mountain, it doesn't have any movement at all. No movement means no activity, no change, no impermanency, no beginning, no end, nothing of that sort. Since it is so, it is sanatanaha. always exists, always remains. So, Atman cannot be produced, Atman cannot be destroyed. There is only one thing in this world which we can hold on to, that is our own Atman. It is the only entity which can be called and which is real. All else is which is changing, impermanent, which has got a beginning and end, and which causes misery for us, that is impermanent. It has no value, it has no reality at all. The reality is Atman and everything is unreal. This is the message we get from reading these wonderful shlokas. We shall continue next week. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.